Do I think comedy is an art? Yes, I absolutely think comedy is an art. I think.
Why?
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to elaborate? Honestly, I think it's the same thing with music or anything else, and putting a lot of yourself into it. I think it's exposing parts of yourself in a way that communicates with other people and communicates ideas and brings everyone together under the same insecurities and worries and fears and even just the things you think are dumb and stupid. I think that's the point of art, to kind of expose those things about the world and about life and about yourself, essentially.
Yeah, there are many artistic things about comedy, such as coming up with your own jokes to perform them. It's not artistic to the point of like actual painting, because at the end of the day, they're mainly just dick jokes, but there's still art to them. Yeah, there's a lot of creative process that goes into making strangers giggle.
I think music is even less vulnerable because you do have a melody and you have notes accompanying it, and with comedy you're just getting up there, and a lot of times, at least for me, I'm very self-deprecating. I just make fun of myself, which is a vulnerable place to be. I talk about things on stage, especially when I was first starting out, that I didn't even want to talk to people about face to face, and then you get up on stage and you talk to 35 people about it, and then more, hopefully like 100 if you're good enough.
The comedian does it cooler because it's less gay. Like when and I don't mean homosexual, I mean weak. That's what I mean when I say gay. Because when a rock and roller out of controller goes up there and pulls out the power ballad with the acoustic guitar and he's singing about butterfly kisses, it's weak, man. But when a comedian goes up there, he's saying something terrible, but he's turning it into funny. The musician's just saying something terrible and continuing to say this is terrible and how sad it is while playing some power chords around it. So yes, and musicians suck, I think was the answer to that.
But yeah, and it's a crazy thing to do, like to realize, oh, I just talked about the way I feel about my family or my sister or my boyfriend or my looks or something, all these things that you're very insecure about as a person on a daily basis, and then you're trying to morph those into things that people are going to enjoy and hopefully not focus on. They'll focus on the funny parts and not the sad, humiliating parts that you're sharing publicly. So you're basically controlling. You're basically, what's up? I have so many fans here in this alley. You're basically controlling your embarrassment factor. I feel like you're beating everyone else to the punch.
It does take courage to look within, find a foible about yourself that you want to talk about on stage, accept it. You know, you have to come to like, yes, I am not 6'5", 275 and Samoan. I am not, you know. I am what I am, and then you present that on stage. Yeah, that takes a lot, definitely. What was the question? I know. I went off, started talking about some other shit. I started thinking about The Rock.
Oh, do I think people take comedy seriously? Yeah. I think comedians take comedy seriously, but in terms of I think when people find out you're a comedian or that you're trying to do comedy, they think it's cool and they think it's neat and they're like, oh, it's really funny. But nobody's like, wow, like you're really working on your art by going to those open mics. And you're like, yes, I am. I'm scribbling things on napkins. This is art. But for some reason, it's not music lyrics, so I guess it's not as accessible as an art form.
Certain people do. Yeah, certain people do. And then there's other people that don't take it seriously, that show up drunk. And I love the guys that sit in the back and shit on the other comics, and then they go up there and bomb with the same blowjob shit jokes that they shit on the other guy for doing. That's my favorite. I love watching it. I sometimes wish I had a camera like yours, and I would videotape them talking shit, and then film their set, and then show it to them. I'm like, do you realize you shit on... you did the same thing, except shittier somehow. You were less good at it.
Really good idea.
That's a really good idea. All the people that crap on other comics are usually brutal. Usually, 99% of the time, suck shit at doing stand-up. What was the question again? I have a lot of rants that are loaded into my head, and I'm just using your questions as a jumping off point.
I think it's not as widely thought of as an art form because it is silly and people, oh, you're just talking about, you know, having sex or whatever. I don't know what people say. I'm not a normal human being. But just, you know, people get up on stage and talk about their junk or whatever, and people are like, okay, that's all comedy is. But it's not. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it. You have to try stuff out in front of people, which is incredibly vulnerable on the vulnerability topic. Like, there's just no way of getting better without putting yourself out there, which is the tough part. Because if I could get really good in my bedroom all by myself, I would so much rather do that. And I feel like you can do that with music or other art forms.
It does take courage. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think comedians should go so far to the other side where it's just they're having therapy and there's people that are being forced to be in a group session against their wills going like, I don't want to hear how this guy got molested. Like, unless there's an awesome punchline, we shouldn't have to hear about how your weird uncle with polio molested you. Yeah. That should not be... Huh? That happened to me, but I don't talk about that. I'm not gonna do that's not funny. I'm kidding. What's funny about that police report? They were just like, he had polio, why didn't you just walk away?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just tell him jokes.
Oh yeah? That's what he thinks? Tell him to go tell some jokes. And see what kind of response he gets, and then have him tell a real story that has some feeling to it, that has some punchlines, and he'll notice the difference. Yeah. He'll notice the more you put of yourself into it, the better the results usually are. As long as you don't go far too much the other end, like I talked about, and end up talking about your molestation.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Unless it's hilarious. If it's hilarious, man, closer every time.
Yeah.
The big molestation closer.
I'm not saying music is an art. Music is a widely accepted art. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I'm not trying to pit the two against each other.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like fight musicians. I'm not trying to start a gang war. I'm just saying musicians have an easier time getting laid. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What was the question? I just started talking about my own business.
You got like 5 minutes left.
Oh shit.